This story is about a king, a very rich and famous king, a great king, and he had a great treasure, the most precious treasure in the whole world. And with this treasure, it was possible to make the right decision. In every circumstance, if you held this treasure in your hand, you were able to make the right decision. And he locked it in a strong safe, the strongest safe that his kingdom could produce. And it had 4 keys. And he took the keys and he gave the keys to 4 faithful servants. And from time to time, someone would come and say, "I've heard of the fame of the treasure in the safe of the king. And I want to make a great and important decision in my life. And so I would like to hold the treasure in my hand so that I, too, may make the right decision, as the king does." The message went out. Then first you must find the 4 faithful servants. And having asked them, they must give you the key. And then you can bring it back here to the safe and open its door. Well, one traveller after another went to find the 4 faithful servants. They'd find the first one very quickly. The first one was called Inner Voice. And they would have the key from the inner voice. And they would go back to the safe. And they would find that it opened one of the locks, but it didn't open the other 3. Without all 4 keys, it was not possible to open the safe. So they would sometimes go off and find the other keys, but often they would just do what the inner voice told them to do. And there was, in the same room, another safe. And that safe only had one lock. And the key of the inner voice would open it. And so many a traveller would open the key and find in there nothing more than chance. They didn't know whether their decisions were right or wrong. They just followed the inner voice. But some travellers would find the next of the key holders, the 4 faithful servants. And the second of the 4 faithful servants was called Circumstance. We covered these 2 last week, do you remember? It's a story, it's made up, it's to help you to remember. And Circumstance would give them the key, and they would go back, and now they had 2 keys. And so they would try them, but they would find that without all 4 keys, they couldn't open the safe and hold the treasure, which would tell them whether the decision they were about to make was right or wrong. And so they'd look around the room, and sure enough, there were some safes which would open with just 2 keys. And they would use the 2 keys they'd got. And inside they would find the right answer or the wrong answer. But only by good luck were they finding the answer. Some venturers would look for more keys. They would look for 3 and find better fortune when they opened the safe that opened with 3 keys. But only the most persistent, only the most patient found all 4 keys. And those people found that when they opened the safe with all 4 keys, they were successful. And as they held the treasure in their hand and made their decision, they found that their decisions were good, great, and right decisions. Well, it's a story and it's made up to help you to remember. You need all 4 keys in order to make really good decisions. I know you want to make great decisions, but many a time we're in such a rush to make our decisions that we don't wait till we've got all 4 keys. We go ahead anyway. And we follow our own inner voice, the desires of our heart or the tempting of Satan, and we do the wrong thing. And sometimes our lives are a disaster from that moment on, because a new path has been taken. If only we could be patient enough and find the 4 keys, then we could be successful in our decision making. So, let me tell you, because you're waiting to know what the 3rd key is. What is it that can stop you making bad decisions and help you make better decisions? We've had, last week, the inner voice. And that really gives us no clue. We don't know whether we're right or wrong. Only time will tell. And sadly, many people, by following their inner voice, their gut feeling, their instinct, the hunch that they have made some disastrous decisions. Most times, our inner voice can be a good lead, but sometimes it can take us astray. The second was circumstance, and we looked at that and the fact that if your circumstance has closed the door, then that helps you to make a decision. But sometimes circumstances don't close the door. And we need better decision making. Well, the third, it will not surprise you to know, the 3rd check, if you like, the 3rd key you need in order to make great decisions. Or as we looked at it last week, we talked about the beepers on the back of your car. And if you have those that beep when you're reversing and tell you when you're about to hit something, there are 4 sensors. And if you catch one of those sensors, if it sees something, it goes beep. Don't do it. The 3rd one, you're not surprised to know, is the Bible. The Bible is full of people making decisions. And some of them make bad decisions. Not everything that happens in the Bible is the right thing to do. There are all sorts of stories in the Bible of people who thought that they could do what they wanted. They thought they could make good decisions, but they made bad decisions. It doesn't matter which of the great heroes of the Old Testament you read up on, you find that they always made a bad decision. Noah, after the ark. Read the story. David, he made loads of bad decisions. Moses, Abraham, you name them, they made some disastrous decisions. The only person in the whole of the Bible who never makes a bad decision was Jesus Christ. Every other Bible hero, Samson, Jonah, every one of them, all the heroes of your childhood, all those Sunday school lessons, all those great stories. We tell the great story, but what you don't often find until you read the story in the Bible is that these were flawed characters. They made some bad decisions. And the Bible tells us which were good decisions and which were bad decisions and why. So there are examples for you to follow. There are also in the Bible principles which are laid down that if you break this, then disaster will come.